Now, from approximately coast to coast, it's the Bob and Ray Radio Show. Say, tonight, I was thinking, why don't I use that microphone where you are, and you use this one, okay?
All right, you want the one on the left?
Yeah.
I'll take the one on the right.
Okay, just be a second, folks.
That means I'll be the announcer for Civil Court, our first feature.
Okay, wait till I get set.
All right. Ready?
You're all ready. Go ahead.
Welcome to another session of Civil Court, the popular radio feature where real people bring real damaged suits before a real judge. Today's case involves youthful racing driver Speed Malwick and his next-door neighbor Wilma Satchel. Mr. Malwick is suing Mrs. Satchel for depriving him of his livelihood, and in return, Mrs. Satchel is countersuing on charges that Mr. Malwick has aggravated her rheumatic condition. Now I see that Judge Morton Krexler has taken his place on the bench. Now let's move inside for today's action.
You can be seated. I've read your complaint, sir, and I understand that you're accusing your neighbor of taking possession of your custom-built race car and refusing to return it. Is that right? Yes. Now, in compensation, you seek damages of $4 million. Now, how do you estimate that the car is worth that much?
Well, the car isn't probably worth quite that much, Your Excellency, but I figure I could have driven it in the Indianapolis 500 if this dame hadn't stolen it. So with the first prize money plus the dough for product endorsements, I lost out on $4 million easy.
Well, that's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard, Your Honor. This man's car's an old Studebaker. They wouldn't have allowed him near the racetrack with that junker.
That just shows how much you know, you old biddy. I had mag wheels and a chrome-plated tailpipe on that baby.
Just a minute. Let's come to order here. Now, Mr. Malwick, you charged this woman with stealing your car and refusing to give it back?
That's right, Your Worship. I just meant to park it at her place for a few minutes, but that was 3 months ago, and I still can't get it back.
Well, now, that's just not the way it is, Your Honor. He didn't simply park his car at my place. He came tearing down the alley, tore through my fence, and landed in the swimming pool.
Yeah, and I could have drowned, Your Eminence. Who ever heard of putting a swimming pool right where any motorist might drive into it?
Well, the location of the pool is not really the issue here, Mr. Malwick. Is it true that when you say you parked your car on Mrs. Satchel's property, you mean you parked it at the bottom of her swimming pool?
Yeah, and she won't give it back. All she had to do was hire a crane operator to lift it out of the pool and put it in my driveway, but she wouldn't even do a simple neighborly thing like that.
Well, that's not my responsibility. His sheepskin seat covers are floating in my pool, so those little foam rubber dice he had hanging from the mirror. I can't swim in there at all. That's why I'm countersuing for $4 million.
Well, you could use your pool if you'd get my car out of it, you old bat.
Now, just hold on. Hold on. I'm in charge here.
Well, then, I wish you'd go ahead and teach her a lesson, Your Worthiness. She's countersuing for $4 million just because my car's in her pool. For that kind of money, she could take the bus down to the public pool for the rest of her life.
Well, that's no solution at all, Your Honor. There are times when I get so stove up with rheumatism that a swim in my own pool is the only thing that helps. But an ailing person can't swim around an old rusty Studebaker.
I left the windows open, Your Lordship. She could swim in one side and out the other. That's not $4 million worth of inconvenience in my book.
I'll make the judgment in this case, young man, not you.
I'm just trying to help the wheels of justice grind. Our whole American way of life is at stake here.
Oh, bourgeois, pain and suffering are high-ticket items, Sonny, and you're going to pay through the nose.
Don't threaten me. You could wind up in the trunk of my car if it hasn't rusted out by now.
That's enough, both of you. It's my opinion that Mr. Malwick's estimate of his potential racing income is highly inflated. So the most I can award him is $5,000 for the loss of his car.
That seems fair. It was mostly junk I just bolted together anyway.
On the countersuit, Mrs. Satchel hasn't presented any medical records to prove that her health has been affected. So I'm awarding her $2,000 for the inconvenience of being without the use of her pool. Case closed.
I can live with that. I'll just wait until I get her $5,000 to pay $2,000 of it back to her.
Well, this is absurd. I'm being penalized $3,000 because this idiot drove his car into my swimming pool. Get back here, Judge. Your Honor. Yoo-hoo!
And so, another dispute is wisely resolved by Judge Morton Krexler. Join us soon when the American system of justice will again work its miracles in another case presented in civil court. And now, the makers of Tingle, the long-wearing dental floss created from spun glass fiber, invite you to join us for another exciting story of adventure featuring Elmer W. Litzinger, Spy.
My name is Elmer W. Litzinger, Spy. I handled some of our government's toughest espionage assignments. Recently, word slipped out of an enemy country that the local dictator had built an airstrip for bombers right along the coastline. If the report was true, it could present a big threat. So it was my job to check it out. I went to a small island within sight of the coast. Posing as an artist, I strolled casually into the local hotel and approached the desk clerk.
Oh, good afternoon, sir. I see you're all set to go out on a big game hunt. High-powered rifle, binoculars, the works.
No, actually, I'm posing as an artist on this trip. I just haven't had time to buy any brushes or canvas yet. I thought it might be a good idea to get a hotel room first. That way I'll have a place to hide my rifle and binoculars before anyone gets suspicious.
That's good thinking, sir. And I'll be happy to go along with your little game. I'll even give you our artist studio, looking out to sea. Has a good north light.
Well, that's very kind of you, but I'd really prefer a room overlooking the new airstrip on the mainland.
Oh, you do paintings of secret airstrips, do you?
No, actually, I'm not the artist I seem to be. But now that I've succeeded in fooling you, I guess there's no harm in telling you the truth. I'm really Elmer W. Litzinger, Spy.
Pleased to meet you. I'm Wing E. Park, desk clerk. I sort of figured you were in the espionage racket. Not many Americans know about our new secret airstrip on the mainland. Also, not many artists have the secret police follow them in here like you did.
Gee, what do you know about that? I sure didn't see any secret police follow me in here.
I don't think you were supposed to see them. That's the whole idea.
You're probably right. And I must compliment you. Not many hotel clerks in backward countries know as much about espionage as you seem to.
Well, that's very flattering coming from a spy of your stature, Mr. Pritchard.
My name's not Pritchard. I've already told you. It's Litzinger. They changed the assignments at the last minute. Pritchard was sent somewhere else.
Oh, I guess that would explain it then. I knew you said you were Litzinger, but I had it written down on my list to be on the lookout for Pritchard. See? I've even got a picture of Pritchard here that the secret police lieutenant gave me. I guess he didn't have a picture of you. Could I borrow your camera to take one?
Certainly. Here.
Thanks. Just hold still and say Young Chow Pan.
I suppose young chow pan means cheese?
No, actually it means an old man with white hair pushing a lawnmower. I have no idea why we tell people to say that when we take their picture. Anyway, I think I got a pretty good shot of you, and I'll see that you get your camera back in a week or so, as soon as I get the film developed.
I'm sorry, but I may not be staying that long.
Oh, sure you will. Got a hunch you'll be staying with us for several years, maybe even longer. When a guy has the secret police following him around, that usually means he's not going anywhere, except downtown for a little chat.
Well, I'd really hate to go all the way downtown before I even had a chance to take the pictures of your new secret airstrip that I was sent here to get.
Oh, don't worry about that. Now that I've borrowed your camera on a more or less permanent basis, I'll be glad to handle your assignment for you.
Well, that's very kind of you, and you can also send a cable back to the home office for me if you don't mind. Just say, mission being completed by Elmer W. Litzinger, Spy.
Okay, and now we wish to give up a portion of our valuable airtime for a rebuttal to a recent Bob and Ray editorial. We feel that allowing those who disagree with our views to speak out is the only fair thing to do.
And we also feel it's the only safe thing to do unless we want to get in big trouble with the Federal Communications Commission.
Well, yes, there is that aspect of the situation, too. But in keeping with our policy of granting equal time, for whatever reason, we have with us today Mr. Gordon C. Whitsett. I believe you said that you're affiliated with the Taxpayers Alliance of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Is that correct, sir?
That's right. I might add that my whole group is pretty burned up with you two jerks. I told them what you said in your editorial, and they wanted to come down here with me and beat you to a pulp.
Well, there's no need for violence, Mr. Whitsett. That's one of the reasons we give opponents of our views a chance to respond on the air, so why don't you just go ahead with your statement?
You bet your sweet life I will, and I intend to do it right now, too.
Fine. I wish you would. Just go ahead.
I intend to. My fellow Americans, Bob and Ray are nothing but a couple of melonheads who are totally ignorant of the financial problems in Pittsburgh. Yet these two chumps have blatantly come out in favor of building a subway system there. We say Pittsburgh does not need a subway. And furthermore...
excuse me, Mr. Whitsett, but...
You sit down. I haven't even had a chance to give the figures on how much a Pittsburgh subway would cost. You cleverly skipped over that in your editorial, didn't you?
No, sir, that's what I was trying to interrupt. You see, we've never presented a Bob and Ray editorial about building a Pittsburgh subway.
Now, don't give me that stuff. I heard it, and I immediately notified my group. And we're all pretty burned up.
Oh, I don't doubt that you and your friends feel strongly, Mr. Whitsett, but you couldn't have heard an editorial like that on this station. Why would we care whether you build a subway in Pittsburgh anyway?
Well, that was going to be my next point. But you've kind of taken the wind out of my sails here. You know, I think there's a station in Pittsburgh that's close to yours on the radio dial. I wonder if that's where I heard the editorial I'm replying to.
Entirely possible. I know we've never broadcast an editorial about a Pittsburgh subway.
Well, I guess I must have heard it on that other station back home, and I feel kind of silly about this.
Well, no need to do that. We all make mistakes, so if you just sit down there in the corner until you feel composed enough to leave...
Oh, not so fast. I feel fine. I've still got 2 minutes of my time left for the rebuttal.
Yeah, but we've already agreed that you're on the wrong
My fellow
station.
Americans, the proposal to build a subway system is one of the most vital issues facing Pittsburgh today. Yet you've just heard Bob and Ray admit that they've never once delivered an editorial on this important matter.
Oh, come on now.
Keep out of this. Friends, the callous disregard shown by Bob and Ray in choosing to ignore the Pittsburgh subway debate is shameful. Over the years, such a subway system could cost the taxpayers of Pittsburgh at least $100 million. Yet Bob and Ray don't think it's important enough to gain their attention.
Mr. Whitsett, you're not entitled to this equal time. You're replying to an editorial that we never broadcast in the first place.
That's my point exactly. No editorial was ever broadcast on this subject by Bob and Ray. And for this disregard of the public interest, I say, hang your heads in shame. The good people of Pittsburgh will never ignore such a vital issue, regardless of the failure of you two bums to speak out.
Does that
thank you.
Finally complete your remarks?
Yes, now I just hope you two guys get what's coming to you. Goodbye.
You've been listening to an editorial rebuttal that was mistakenly delivered by Mr. Gordon C. Whitsett of the Pittsburgh Taxpayers Alliance.
We recognize our responsibility to grant equal time to those with opposing viewpoints. However, we also recognize the fact that Mr. Whitsett should have expressed his opinions on a station in Pittsburgh. Therefore, we urge responsible parties with opposing views to contact the station where Mr. Whitsett should have been.
This editorial reply has been produced under the auspices of the Bob and Ray Public Affairs Department, which assumes no responsibility for its content. Thank you. And fresh in from the Bob and Ray Green Room for another informative session on words and their derivations and meaning is Dr. Elmer Stapley, the word wizard. And he's here to answer the questions you listeners send in about our language and its correct use. Welcome, Doctor. I guess you might as well plunge right into the mail because I know you must be anxious to get started.
Mr. Elliott, your use of the word anxious in that pretext is completely incorrigible. I'd suggest you check the delineation of the word in Lobster's New Conglomerate Dictionary. It states that anxious means being disquieted about possible impending misfortune. And, of course, there's nothing about the questions from your audienceship that could consecrate impending misfortune for me. Is that clear?
In a way. Of course, listening to you explain it makes me disquieted about possible impending misfortune. But since it's too late to cancel the feature now, I guess we might as well plunge into the mail. This week's first question to the word wizard comes from a lady in Oklahoma who writes, "My little boy keeps saying things like, 'the people was here.' What is the best way to make him understand that it's wrong to use a singular verb with a plural noun?"
Well, in the exemplification she gives, there's no indentation of the number of people she's talking about. If there was only one, then the kid's correct in saying the people was here.
Well, Doctor, if there was only one, then it would be a person who was there, not people.
Well, as I indicated before, I don't know how many people there was there.
You mean you don't know how many there were?
Well, that's what I just told you. How many times do I have to repetition the thing before I make myself fastidious?
As long as you keep wearing that same old suit with the gravy stains, I don't imagine you'll ever be thought of as fastidious. But I guess we might as well skip your personal problems for now. Let's have another question. Here's a letter to the Word Wizard from a man in Ohio. He writes, "A lot of new street signs have been put up around here that all say one way. Of course, I always hope to return home eventually when I go anywhere, but I can't find a street with signs on it saying round trip. Do these one-way signs really mean that I can only use the streets to go someplace and never come back?
Well, of course, the phrase one way doesn't refer to a type of ticket that's opposite of round trip. We also find it in the old saying, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So that's probably what the signs are making a referendum to. Next.
You really want to stick with an answer like that, Doctor?
Yes, I'm quite sure of my facts. There are at least 3 or 4 different ways to skin a cat that I could name right offhand.
No, I wouldn't want you to name them. Let's move along to another question. In fact, a final letter. This is from a lady in North Dakota. She writes, I work as a receptionist in an office where some people say good day instead of hello when they come in, while others say good day instead of goodbye when they leave. Can you tell me which usage is correct?
Did you say this woman lives in North Dakota?
Yeah, that's right. Fargo, I think.
Then you should only say good day as you're leaving to go outside.
Why?
Well, because the weather's always terrible in North Dakota. So if you were just coming in from outdoors, you'd know it wasn't a good day. But if you were leaving, you might think it had cleared up a little. Of course, you'd be wrong, but at least you wouldn't be lying to say good day if you didn't know any better.
Well, I'm sure this lady wants to be truthful, even if you can't help her become grammatically correct. So I think we can consider her problem solved, and thanks again for stopping by with your words of wisdom for all our listeners.
Not at all. I was obliterated to come.
And I hope you'll be even more obliterated by the time we invite you to come back. But assuming you're not, I guess we can all look forward to another of these informative sessions soon with Dr. Elmer Stapley, the Word Wizard.
Join us now as we again return to Garish Summit and its endless tales of intrigue among the socially prominent. There, in stately splendor, far removed from the squalid village below, they fight their petty battles over power and money. As our action resumes, Bronco Billy Murchfield has returned home after being lost at sea for 40 years, only to face police questioning about the same embezzlement for which his nephew, Caldwell, already is on trial. Under the watchful eye of Lieutenant O'Hanlon Shanahan, the two suspects are brought together.
Oh, now, matey, why would you be thinking your old Uncle Billy would be such a dastardly deed as to steal money from your blessed mother?
Gee, I don't know. I was just sitting there in my jailed cell, almost sure to be convicted of the crime, but the minute they dragged you in here, I realized you were the guy I'd seen going into the vault, and not me.
Faith and begarda, this is the first eyewitness to put the old coot at the scene of the crime. I smelled a rat when I first saw him in the lineup, wearing that pirate costume.
Yeah, it sure was shrewd of Mother to call the cops when he showed up at the house demanding half our family fortune. And then, by the sheerest coincidence, I recognized him as the guy who committed the crime I'm wrongly accused of. It's a small world.
Oh, now, matey, old Bronco Billy were flying the Jolly Roger down the Spanish Main when all this booty disappeared. Why be ye saying ye saw me steal it, laddie?
Well, I figure we couldn't have both stolen it, so if I saw you do it, they'll have to let me go.
Faith and begarda, that's sound reasoning, all right. But it all comes down to your word against the old man's.
But now about this for the clincher, Lieutenant. My mother turned the old geezer in, and she's the one who owns this town.
Faith and begarda, I can just see her now, waiting to decide whether I should be chief of police or drop like an old chalet.
Oh, do come in, Rodney. I'm expecting a phone call any minute with good news about Caldwell's release and that little misunderstanding downtown.
Oh, I thought it was more than a little misunderstanding, Mother. He stole $600,000 from the family business. And now I hear you've had some strange old man picked up for the crime.
Rodney, that strange old man is my long-lost brother-in-law. I've never told you this before, but it was Bronco Billy and not your father who brought in the family's first Wildcat lead mine. Fortunately, we cheated him out of his claim and sent him out to sea.
Well, I agree that was quite fortunate, Mother, but now I was hoping we could pin just this one crime on Caldwell and see him sent to prison. I really don't like sharing my authority with him at the office.
Oh, Rodney, you're such a fool.
I agree with you wholeheartedly on that, Mother. However, I'm really quite gung-ho about the prospect of seeing Caldwell rot in stir. He's also after my ravishingly beautiful fiancée, Pamela, you know.
Well, Bronco Billy's after a good deal more than that. He wants half of our family's $5 billion fortune. And if we refuse, he says he can get it all with proof that Murchfield Ed is rightfully his.
Now that you mention it, Mother, I did see an old man wearing a bandana and an eye patch in our executive vault the day the embezzlement occurred, but I just gave a cracker to the parrot he had on his shoulder and thought no more about it. Now I realize he's guilty as sin. Incidentally, I wonder what proof he could have that our lead deposits really were his discovery.
Well, here you go, Sarge. All the stuff we found in the old man's pockets when we picked them up. 1 small flagon of rum, 4 doubloons, piece of 8 in cash, 1 burlap bag of parrot food, and something that looks like an old land grant.
Okay, I got the junk listed, officer. Sign here to show we put it in the property room.
Funny the old guy's been carrying a land grant in his pocket.
Even funnier, he'd be carrying 4 doubloons and a piece of 8. What can you buy for a doubloon in this town?
Beats me. Something weird about this paper, though. And the map with it shows the hills and creeks laid out exactly the way they are right around the Murchfield Lead mines. I think I'll see what one of those wise teachers at the high school can make of this.
Can Agatha, Rodney, and Caldwell succeed in framing Bronco Billy for a crime he didn't commit? Can Bronco Billy succeed in pressing the mineral claim he didn't file? And what about the servants who didn't even appear in this episode? Perhaps we'll learn more next time when we hear the judge say,
My docket's getting overcrowded with all you people on trial for the same crime.
That's in our next exciting visit to the world of intrigue atop Garish Summit. Well, now another public service feature, and a popular one it is too, your Forum for Fitness. During this segment, we chat with experts in various fields of health maintenance, and I think today's guest will be of special interest to parents because he's an authority on physical fitness for children. He's Dr. Wayne Boatwright, and I presume, sir, that you're a pediatrician.
No, I'm a Unitarian, but I don't see why a man's religion should cast a shadow on his ability to help children become healthy.
Well, I didn't mean to imply that it would, sir. It's just that...
Well, now listen, would you ask Jane Fonda what church she goes to before you'd sign up for a workout program?
No, of course not. I just thought our listeners would be interested to learn your field of specialization, since I introduced you as Dr. Boatwright.
I have a Ph.D. in mechanical drawing.
I see. And did your mechanical drawing work somehow lead you to a study of physical conditioning for young people?
Well, no, not directly. My son Hildebrand was chiefly responsible for that. I noticed several years ago that Hildebrand was really out of shape for a youngster. I'd send him down at the corner to get me a pack of cigarettes. He'd come back all tired, out of breath and everything.
Well, surely your smoking wasn't causing him to get out of breath.
First, I didn't rule out any possible causes, but I narrowed it down little by little, and finally I figured that Hildebrand probably tired easily because he was under 5 feet tall, but he weighed 270 pounds.
I see. And then, as you wrote in your newly published book, you realized that a lack of physical exercise was causing his weight problem?
Yes, partly, but as I also wrote in my book, if you'd read the rest of it, I discovered that he had poor eating habits. Now, he'd come home after school and eat lard straight out of the can. Then he'd just settle down in a soft easy chair and watch television for 7 or 8 hours until bedtime.
Well, that certainly doesn't sound very conducive to good health.
No, the kid was really puffed out like a balloon, so I figured he'd have to go on a strict diet and exercise program to get back in shape. But there weren't any books available on physical fitness for children.
Oh, that's what led you to write yours, huh?
Well, not right away. I had to work out a plan for Hildebrand first. You can't write a book telling other people how to do something until you found out how to do it yourself.
Well, I guess maybe I'm skipping over the most important part of your story. So tell us how you put your son on a fitness program, will you?
Well, I discovered that you have to make a game out of things like that for children. I mean, a 10-year-old kid isn't motivated to lose weight so he'll look good in a bikini next summer.
No, especially with a boy, that would be true.
Right, so I worked out a little game for Hildebrand called Chain Gang. I fixed up our old coal bin in the basement like a prison cell, and I put Hildebrand down there on a diet of bread and water.
And did your son enter into the spirit of the game as you'd hoped?
Well, at first he really hated it, but I worked at making the thing realistic so it could capture his imagination. For instance, I put the boy to work all day fixing holes in the driveway and stuff like that. I even got him a little black and white striped uniform to wear so he could make, a kind of a fun thing out of it.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like the kind of a game would appeal to a youngster, and I assume it toughened up his little muscles while he was shedding the extra pounds. How much does your son weigh now?
I don't really know. He ran away from home before the end of the first week, and I haven't seen him since. Of course, I didn't have much time to hunt for him after I started working on my book about physical fitness for kids.
Well, are you saying that your 10-year-old child ran away from home and you never tried to find him?
Well, it's not like you make it sound. I sort of know where he is. Some neighbors across town called to say he showed up at their place. But as I say, I was busy working on the book and then going out on the road to promote it, so I just never got around to bringing Hildebrand back home.
Well, in other words, you felt that helping millions of other children with health problems was more important than chasing after one ungrateful little punk.
Yeah, hey, that's a good way to put it. That's it exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Well, I'm glad I was able to help you live with what you've done, and thanks for sharing with our listeners your own experience in handling childhood health problems on today's edition of Your Forum for Fitness. Paul, if we could have a little sheboygan, I think our time is up for today, really. You're going to get out of here and silently steal away.
That's not a bad idea, Bob. Right after we take care of details, like saying thanks to Larry Josephson for developing and producing our show for the Radio Foundation.
And equal thanks to his associate producer, Lars Hoel, who incidentally devotes much of his free time to his favorite charity, the Home for Old Milk Wagon Horses.
As usual, Paul Taubman supplied our music while Al Schaefer added the sound effects.
Technical director was David Glasser, and the engineering assistants included Marty Newman, Miles Smith, and Jay Newland. Production assistants Bill O'Neill and Charles Whitson.
Our program was recorded at Howard Schwartz Studios in New York. Howard, by the way, has had it up to here with talk about compact discs.
Funding was provided in part by the National Endowment for the Arts and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting through NPR's Satellite Program Development Fund.
And now, this is Ray Goulding reminding you to write if you get work.
Bob Elliott reminding you to hang by your thumbs.
Additional funding from public radio stations. For a free picture of Bob and Ray, send a stamped self-addressed envelope to Bob and Ray Picture, Box 5000 GPO, New York 10116. Again, send a stamped self-addressed envelope to Bob and Ray Picture, Box 5000 GPO, New York 10116. We regret that we cannot send a picture without a stamped self-addressed envelope. This program was independently produced by the Radio Foundation.